million since January alone, which she touted just last week.
I'm using the state party as the vehicle to make sure that we are victorious. This is a lot of effort on my part. Governors don't usually do this. They don't usually pay attention unless they're on the ballot. And I'm not on the ballot, but democracy's on the ballot.
By the end of this month, the state Democratic Party says it'll have 35 field offices open across the state, and they'll have dozens of new employees and thousands of volunteers working to help elect Democrats.
Okay, so who are the biggest donors to this campaign, and do they have business before the state?
I took a look at everyone that's donated to the state Democratic Committee's accounts since the start of last year, and the single biggest individual donor is Steve Cohen. He gave $235,000. Now, listeners may know him as the billionaire owner of the Mets, but he's got significant business before the state, particularly when it comes to casinos. He wants to put a casino right next to Citi Field at Willets Point in Queens, but he'll need a license from the state. There's only 3 left, and they're slated to be awarded late next year. And he also needs state lawmakers to pass a bill allowing a casino there at all, because the parking lots around the stadium are technically parkland, if you can believe it.
That's a hard sell. But Steve Cohen is not the only one looking for a casino in New York City. Who are some of the other hopefuls who donated?
I found at least 3 other big donors who are looking for a casino license. That includes Stephen Ross. He's the head of the Related Companies. He's trying to put a casino at Hudson Yards. He gave a little more than $138,000. Similar story for Scott Reckler of RXR Realty. He wants to put a casino near the Nassau Coliseum. He gave almost $70,000. And then there's SL Green. That's a company that owns a lot of real estate in Times Square. They're trying to put a casino there. They gave $50,000. Now, I should say it's not unusual for any of those people and companies to give money to New York politicians. They've all done it before. But it certainly piqued my interest this time because, like we said, they're all angling for one of those 3 valuable casino licenses from the state.
Okay, John, what about Republicans? They're raising money, too. Who are their biggest donors?
I did look at the Republican donors, too, and the thing that jumped out at me is they got a ton of money from one family in particular, and that would be the Cox family. Ed Cox is the chairman of the state Republican Party. His wife is Patricia Nixon Cox, the daughter of Richard Nixon, and together they gave a total of $460,000 to the party since the start of last year. That was bested by only one person, and that would be Ed Cox's brother, Howard Cox, who gave $500,000.
Well, New York state law limits how much people can give to political campaigns. So how are they able to cut these 6-figure checks to the parties?
Well, that's thanks to something called housekeeping accounts. Basically, these are accounts that aren't supposed to be spent directly on campaigns, but rather things like costs for a party headquarters and certain central staff. And there's no limit on how much you can contribute to those, much to the chagrin of good government advocates like Susan Lerner of Common Cause New York.
It is a really unacceptable dodge around any attempt to control money in politics. And we suffer from it at all levels of government.
Now, that also allows corporations, not just people, to cut big checks, too. Usually, they're limited to $5,000 donations to political campaigns, but companies like Verizon and Airbnb, they were able to cut huge checks to state Democrats. It just had to go into their housekeeping accounts.
WNYC's John Campbell, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Support for WNYC comes from Caramore in Katona, New York, presenting a concert on the lawn with Ola Bell this Friday at 7 p.m. Shuttle service from the Katona Metro North Station available. Tickets at caramore.org.
Do you have a car, truck, boat, motorcycle, or RV that is no longer of use to you? No matter what shape it's in, you can donate it to WNYC, even if it's 100 years old. Donating is easy, the pickup is free, and you'll get a tax deduction. Learn more at wnyc.org/car.
The biggest loans of our lives are getting a bit cheaper. Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business, focused on offering smart business buying solutions, leaving time to focus on growth. More at AmazonBusiness.com.
I'm David Brancaccio. Just before Halloween last year, the plastic ghouls from Home Depot looming over front doors, and the cost of home loans hit a peak of just under 8% for a 30-year fixed. Then rates fell into the 7s, and now with hiring slowing down, mortgage rates have been falling in anticipation of an official interest rate cut maybe this fall. Marketplace's Mitchell Hartman has more.
Mortgage rates are now the lowest since May of 2023, says Mike Fratantoni at the Mortgage Bankers Association.
30-year mortgage rates are down more than half a percentage point over the past couple of weeks. We were above 7%. We're at 6.5%.
And that's led to a surge in new mortgage applications by recent home buyers.
Borrowers who had gotten 7.5%, 8% mortgages, they now have an opportunity to refinance.
The decline in mortgage rates has not unleashed a surge in home buying. And Zillow economist Orphe Divounguy doesn't think it will, because a lot of would-be first-time buyers have been squeezed out of the market by unaffordable prices.
You have a big disconnect between buyers and sellers in today's housing market. You have buyers that are feeling the pinch,
whereas most homeowners have little incentive to sell, with their home equity rising and current mortgage rates still much higher than when they bought. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
Now to the S&P 500, a stock index used by many, down hard on Monday, up on Tuesday, down 0.8% yesterday. For the week so far, I calculate the index is down 2.7%. But I see S&P futures this morning have turned up 0.6%. NASDAQ is down 3.4% since Friday, but futures are up 0.7% this morning. Some of this is news that the number of people filing to get unemployment benefits fell in the last week by 17,000. A signal, at least, that talk of recession may be premature. Two big media companies are out with quarterly results reflecting the challenges of the industry right now. Cutting off cable TV in favor of streaming through the internet has left Warner Brothers Discovery with traditional cable assets falling sharply in value. But Disney gained some ground in streaming video, even with trouble getting people into its theme parks. Marketplace's Nova Safo has more.
Warner Media and Discovery merged just 2 years ago in a $40 billion deal. In its latest quarterly report, the new Warner Brothers Discovery says in that short time period, its cable TV assets lost some $9 billion in value as viewers switched from traditional cable to streaming. Its channels, such as CNN and TNT, are getting less revenue from cable fees and advertising. Disney, meanwhile, was buoyed by a golden rule in the media business. A big hit can bring in big dollars. The film Inside Out 2, released in June, brought in an estimated $1.5 billion at the box office, helping Disney reach a profitable quarter. Another golden rule, TV sports can bring in eyeballs, and Disney's streaming business became profitable for the first time, largely thanks to sports programming. Still, profits at Disney's U.S. theme parks were down 6% as consumers became more cautious with their spending, especially lower-income ones. The company expects that trend to continue for the next few quarters. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by C3 Generative AI. Verified, traceable answers, secure, hallucination-free, LLM-agnostic, IP liability-free. C3.ai. This is Enterprise AI. And by Schwab, helping people invest in ideas they believe in with Schwab investing themes, with more than 40 themes to choose from. More at schwab.com.
Now to a swingy county in the swing state of Michigan, where our Nancy Marshall-Genzer has been meeting people eligible to vote. Kent County went to Donald Trump in 2016, then to Joseph Biden in 2020. Where does the economy fit into the political calculus for people in a jurisdiction that surrounds Grand Rapids?
Rob Decker is searching for bargains at a Daily Deals grocery store in the town of Wyoming, Michigan, in South Kent County. He owned a plumbing company before he retired. Now he focuses on stretching his dollar to cover the price of food.
I've watched what's happened the last 3.5 years. Am I blaming the last administration? No, it's happened. I don't think they can get us out of this.
Decker thinks former President Donald Trump would do a better job on the economy, so that's who he'll vote for this fall. Decker also cast his ballot for Trump in 2020. Outside in the parking lot, Denise Gill is loading groceries into her car. She's also retired and living on a fixed income. Gill wants prices to go back to pre-pandemic levels, and she does blame President Biden for inflation. Gill voted for Biden in 2020, but this year she's backing Trump.
It's not somebody who I'd ask to dinner or date, but our gas prices were way down, our food was way down.
The economy was the top issue for almost all of the Trump supporters I spoke to in Kent County, while voters backing Vice President Kamala Harris were mostly motivated by other things, even if their own personal economies weren't so great. 56-year-old Judy Walker is just finishing up her shift at Popeyes and heading to her second part-time job at Little Caesars. Walker's trying to go full-time at Popeyes because her hourly wage there is better.
14 and some change. So that's not bad.
Walker describes herself as Hispanic American. She's afraid Trump would deport her mother, so immigration is a top issue for her.
Economic, to be honest, is the last thing. The thing that matters to me is family.
That's why Walker, who says she's an independent, will vote Democrat in November. So will 34-year-old Skylar Kavanaugh. He's headed into an Aldi grocery store in suburban Grand Rapids with a rainbow tote bag under his arm.
I guess my own security and safety as a trans and queer individual, I put that above the economy personally, as well as reproductive rights. Those are honestly my top issues.
Both the Harris and Trump campaigns are paying very close attention to the top issues of all these voters because the communities I found them shopping, eating, and working in are, for the most part, swing towns in a swing county in a swing state. In Kent County, Michigan, I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
And when you see farm fresh on the eggs, do you expect that means a nice farm with open space or an egg factory with cages? A shopper sued Kroger's, saying he wouldn't have paid extra if he knew the place those farm fresh eggs were from was an industrial cage setting. A federal judge in Chicago has dismissed the lawsuit, ruling in essence that most consumers don't actually link farm fresh to storybook farm settings. I'm David Brancaccio. It's the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.